Hello, my name is Phil, and I'm doing a series of videos called English Videos for You, and this is video number 6, which is about conditional sentences, okay? Now, my other videos, please note my other videos, videos 1 to 5, were about phrasal verbs, and I was teaching phrasal verbs with pictures, okay? So I'm taking the preposition part of the phrasal verb, and I'm explaining it with pictures, with diagrams. Now, some of my students have said it's very interesting, it's very good, and you might find it interesting. But those are videos 01 to 05. Okay. Today I want to talk about conditionals. I want to talk about something completely different. I want to talk about conditionals, okay? And this is particularly useful if you're doing exams, Cambridge First, Certificate, Advanced or Prep or Proficiency. And you should find this useful. I'm going to try and give you some tricks and some tricks and tips here. Okay. The name of the what I call the conditional sentences. The name of the conditional sentence. We have the function, what it really does, what it's all about. We have the first clause, the first part of the sentence, which is the if clause, and we have the second part of the sentence, which is the result. And we have an example. Normally you learn what is called the first, second and third conditionals, but I have included the zero conditional and a mix of the third conditional with the second conditional. Okay. We call it zero conditional because there is no condition. And we use a present with the present in the if clause, the first clause, and a present in the second clause, which is the result. Okay, now this is an example, is if or when it rains, you get wet. Okay? Now, you can also say if water reaches 100 degrees centigrade, it boils. If water reaches 100 degrees centigrade, it boils. Okay? Boil is to turn into a gas. Okay? Or if water reaches or goes down to 0 degrees centigrade, it freezes. It turns to ice. This is the zero condition. There's no condition. It's true. If it rains, if you go outside in the rain, you get wet. Let's go on to the first conditional. It's what I call a probable. It's probable, it's possible, it's probable, it's possible it can happen. With the first clause we use the present, second clause we use the future. And let's take the case of if you study hard, you will pass the exam. It's not impossible to pass the exam. There's an exam, for example, the exam for you is quite easy, and all you have to do is you have to study, or you have to study hard. If you study hard, you sit down, you study hard on the exam, you will pass the exam. Why we say this is the first clause, if you study hard, which is what we call the first clause, the first part of the sentence, and it's in present. Study is in present. The second clause is you will study, you will pass the exam. This is the future. So if you take it, if you study hard, you will pass the exam. Let's take the second conditional, which is what I call the hypothetical. Well, I call it, and people call it the hypothetical. The first clause is the past tense. Second clause is the conditional tense, which is with would. So let's take the first clause. If you studied, or if you studied hard, it's hypothetical, okay? It's hypothetical. If you actually did it, if you studied, you would pass the exam. Someone's saying, oh, come on, get up, study. If you studied, it's like an encouragement. If you studied, you would pass it. Well, let's take an example. If you went to London, you could see Buckingham Palace. Okay? If you went to London, you could see Buckingham Palace. If you go to London, you will see Buckingham Palace. But if you went to London, you would see, or you could see Buckingham Palace. Now, let's go on to the third conditional. I call this the past, or the impossible. Remember, this is probable or possible. This is the impossible. Why? Because it's finished. It's not possible to do. Why? Because it's past. Okay? We use the past perfect. Now, you know, we have the present is study. Present perfect is is have studied, and past perfect is had studied. Okay? That's another lesson. Maybe in the future, I will do things about the past, about tenses in general. So, and the first clause is in the past perfect. If you had studied, The second clause is what I call the perfect conditional. All right, what I call the perfect conditional. Why? It's a conditional, it's would, but you use have. Now, you know that the perfect tenses, you use have. So, if you had studied, you would have passed the exam. If you had studied, you would have passed. Let's take the example of London. If you had gone to London, you would have seen the Queen. Now, let's go to the mixed conditional, which is the third and the second conditional. This is usually taught in academies. Maybe later on it's taught, but the most important ones are this one and this one, but this is a mixed one. And this is a hypothetical impossible result. Again, it's past. For the first clause, if clause, we use the past perfect, and for the second clause, the result, we use the conditional. Okay, that's why it's called a mix of the third and the second. Now, I'll give you an example. If you had passed the exam, you took the exam, but if you had passed the exam, maybe you didn't take the exam, maybe you failed the exam, but if you had passed the exam, now you would be working here. You would be working. Well, let's take an example. If you had been born in Italy, my friend always gives me this example. If you had been born in Italy, now you would speak Italian, or now you would be speaking Italian. Okay, I haven't written that down, but again, if you had passed the exam, which is the third conditional, isn't it? If you had studied, if you had passed the exam, now we go to the second. You would be working here, or you would work here, or what I call the conditional continuous. You would be working here. Okay, maybe this is a little bit complicated for you. Maybe you've just got to concentrate on these ones. Also, another trick I say is if you have an exam, look for the word if. Some people get very nervous about exams and they get very nervous about conditionals. My trick is don't get nervous about conditionals. First of all, look for the conditionals, look for the sentences, see if there's an if, and say, okay, I know it's, and you learn this, okay? You say, first conditional, present, future. Second conditional, past conditional. Third conditional, past perfect, perfect conditional. So for example, you're in an exam, you say, I'm going to look for the if, I'm going to follow Phil's advice, that's me, Phil's advice. You find a word if, you find a past tense. You know that in the second clause it's going to be a conditional. Or you find the word if, you see in the second clause a conditional, so you know that the first clause has to be a past. Of course, don't forget these can be reversed. Okay? Here it says you get wet when it rains. Or in the first conditional, you can say you will pass the exam if you study. Or second conditional, you would pass the exam if you studied. Or third conditional, you would have passed if you had studied, etc. But if you're looking for the exam, if you're doing an exam and you're looking for the conditionals, look for the conditionals, and you say, here's a future. So you know if there's a future, the first clause has to be a present. Or you find the present, you know the first clause either has to be a present or a future. But most probably, if it's an exam, it will be the first conditional, it will be the future. Okay? So I learned this. 0, present, present. First, present, future. Second, past conditional. Third, past perfect conditional. Don't worry about that one. Okay? But again, if you want to learn it, third, second, mixed conditionals is the past perfect conditional. So again, you say, okay, 0, present, present. First, present, future. Second, past with the conditional. And third, past perfect, perfect conditional. I've learned it off by heart. I know it by memory, off by heart. Again, that will help you. You look for the exams, you find the word if, you see one tense or you see another tense, and you know the other part of the conditional, either the first part, the first clause, or the second clause, will be in the other one. Hopefully, if you follow my instructions, if you follow this, it will help you to pass the conditional part of the sentences, and maybe you will pass the exam. If you do, let me know. All right? Thank you very much. I'm trying to help you with this. I'm trying to help you with my other tenses, with my other videos about phrasal verbs. Really, I'm trying to help you with this, okay? So, take my advice, watch my other videos as well, learn with the pictures about phrasal verbs, and learn with this, okay? Especially if you're doing an exam. If you like it, like, comment, and subscribe, okay? Thank you very much. I hope this has been useful for you. I am enthusiastic about this. I really want to try to help you with these videos, and hopefully it will do that. Okay. Sorry if I've gone in a bit too much. Again, if I've gone too fast and you really don't understand it, watch my video again. Take a piece of paper, write this out, and as I say, really try to learn these. This will help you. Okay. Thank you very much. Bye bye.